take a couple of minutes to show you the fundamental differences between the default HEIC files that come out of the iPhone camera and the new ProRAW format. So here I have an image that is particularly challenging for any camera to capture. Yeah, where Esther, my wife, and I are out in Arizona, and she's in the shade, but we've got the last light of the day, sunlight directly striking this red rock in the distance. Now this scene, presents a major, huge dynamic range with this really bright rock and shadows in the foreground, and rendering it at all in a usable way is a feat for any camera. So, and I think this image is actually perfectly fine. It's very shareable, and it's a perfectly usable image, but it's not my preference, and that's what ProRAW is really about. It's about giving me the tools, the parameters, and the latitude to adjust this image in a way that aligns with my preferences as an artist. It also allows me to maybe more accurately depict the scene and to kind of have control of how involved the computations get. So in this example, maybe this image doesn't feel the way that I want, but in such an extreme test, you'll also sometimes see that the kind of HDR effects render edges in kind of maybe unnatural ways. I don't like the way this kind of halo looks, and so I kind of would like to have more control of that. But overall, I would like the image to feel different. So let's go over here on the right side in the layers. I'm going to go ahead and flip on the raw version, the ProRAW version of this, unedited. So here's the unedited ProRAW file. So immediately, obviously, you'll see a huge difference here. It's very contrasty. We've completely blown out our background where the bright light is. We've still got a pretty decent exposure down in these shadows, but it's a contrasty image, and it's got a lot less color, which means I'm going to have a lot more control of the color once I start editing. Now let's jump over to the edited ProRAW file. So this was processed in Lightroom. I used a couple of selective adjustments to maintain and kind of warm up the color in Esther's face and eyes, and while still kind of maintaining the detail and bringing the detail out in the background. So let's switch it and compare to the original HEIC file. So I'll turn off the ProRAW edited file here, and now we're back at the original HEIC file that the iPhone would spit out by default. And this image, like we said, is usable. We've got that haloing up there. Let's go ahead and zoom back in on this. So I was hopeful that maybe editing in RAW would help me kind of control the way that this looks. And so let's turn on the RAW file here. So here's the RAW rendering of that. And you can look at that edge. It's nice and clean. It looks natural. It looks like I could have shot it with any traditional pro camera. And we can also come over here and look at these leaves, which is oftentimes challenging when you're layering multiple exposures. Like if these leaves are moving in the wind and stuff like that, it can be really hard to stack a bunch of pictures for the HEIC files. So let's go back and look at the HEIC. And you can see this doesn't look particularly natural. It's definitely not my preference. And the RAW file, the ProRAW file, looks much more accurate. So the part of the benefit of the ProRAW file is that it allows us to decide how heavy we want to process the image, and sometimes that helps us make sure that the effects look natural. But more excitingly, what ProRAW did for me here is it allowed me to capture and share this image in the way that I saw it, for ultimately what my vision for the image was.